Next speakers that we have. Now, we have actually had the pleasure of not one, but two members of Parliament approach us for this protest. And they would like to come up and say a few words. Here at Public Child Protection Wales, we welcome anyone who wants our platform to have their say, because we don't think against anyone. So we have got two marvellous MPs. The one person I'm going to put up first is Andrew Bridgen. So he is a member of, massive round of applause, Andrew Bridgen. He's a member of the Reclaim Party, and we had the pleasure of being invited to his launch of the Reclaim Education. So I'm not going to say anything else because I'm going to let Andrew introduce himself. So once more, massive round of applause for Andrew. Woo! Do you want me to move this?
I'll stand on it.
Stand on it.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's a huge privilege to welcome you to the home of democracy, to Parliament Square. I think it's fair to say that since I've been elected to this House in 2010, a number of things that have passed through the Chamber of the House of Commons has disappointed me, you know. HS2, I've voted against that for 10 years. It's now undeliverable and over budget. Who would have thought that? But I think the most disappointing experience I've had in that chamber was on the 27th of June this year, when the House of Commons voted down my child protection and parental rights bill. Conservative MPs were told not to vote for it. In fact, 10 of them voted against it. There was a very poor turnout for what was actually a very important debate. And I think we hit a new low there. And following that debate, I'll share with you, there are about 4,000 real people that work in the Houses of Parliament. They're the cooks, the cleaners, the clerks, the police, the security guards. Yeah, they really work. And whether we're talking about vaccine harms or protecting our children, those people are politically aware and they're a very good barometer. 80–90% of those know exactly what's going on. What's the sad thing is that the elected members in that House that could actually do something about it are silent on these issues. So after they voted down my child protection bill, which would have protected children from sexualisation in school, given reinforced parents' rights and made illegal the social transitioning, the beginning of the transitioning process for minors in schools, I was approached by a Metropolitan Police officer in there, great big guy with his flak jacket on, his submachine gun, and he was almost in tears. And he said to me privately, this is the sentiment of people who really work in the House of Commons, he said, I'm a parent, he said. I'm also a police officer, and when the terrorists come here, I've got to lay my life down to protect people called MPs. He said, and yesterday in Parliament, when they voted your bill down, they couldn't even protect my children. I've got to die for them. He said, I'm not convinced. This is... And the amazing thing about the bill I was proposing is that actually it didn't really require any legislation. Everything it required was just reinforcing the laws that we already have to protect our children. I personally don't think that 5-year-olds, and I'll declare an interest. My youngest son is 5 years old and started school Monday just gone. I don't think 5-year-olds should be shown pencil drawings of an erect penis and a vagina and having to identify those genitalia. Call me old-fashioned, but I don't think that 9-year-old children should be taught the pleasures of masturbation. And I don't think that 11 and 12-year-olds should be taught that they may enjoy anal and oral sex. I think it's far too young, far inappropriate, and I don't think any reasonable-minded adult would disagree with me, but the elected members of the House of Commons apparently do. And the worrying thing is that this is not just happening in our country, it's happening across the developed world. Most of it's being pushed by so-called charities. It's certainly being pushed by the United Nations and the WHO, and it seems to be a policy of sexualization of children the normalisation of paedophilia. They're looking to lower the age of consent with minors. This is, you know, what is this minor attracted people? You show me a minor attracted person, I'll show you a paedophile. That's what they are. It should never, ever be normalised. Any civilised society, if you can't protect your children, they are our future. Our democracy is under threat as it's never been before. If that place were acting in behalf of the people, these problems wouldn't be coming along, and these aren't the only problems that we're facing. I think I'm losing faith rapidly in our democracy. I think it's massively under threat. The only way we're going to turn all the problems we're facing around, and they're all self-inflicted, they don't have to happen to us, is by the people coming together. And there's nothing more emotive than our children. It's natural that parents, grandparents would want to protect their children, and we're going to have to take back responsibility. At the end of the day, the children, they're your children. They do not belong to the state, and the state does look after children. It's called being in care, and as we know, it's anything other than care that these young people are getting. So thank you very much for coming today. You're going to have the pleasure of Ian Paisley Jr., who's a pretty good speaker and can work a crowd up just rather like his father could, as I remember. Yeah, well, the children in care, poor people in our country are not scared of the police. What they are is scared of social services, because they come in and take your children. And with the pressure being put, the cost of living crisis, the pressure being put on family budgets, it's going to be so easy now for social services to come in and say, look, we can work out from your family budget you can't afford to pay the rent, pay your electricity bill and feed your children, and that is terrifying so many communities. This has got to stop. Children should be staying with loving parents. Thank you very much for listening to me.